Harriet, hey everybody, welcome. I thought I would lead by saying a few words about myself, give you a flavor for me, the organization, the technology team, the technology itself, and tell you a little bit about our beliefs and how we go about building our products. So I'm a software engineer, and that's pretty much it. I'm very proud to be a software engineer. I've been a software engineer since I was about 11 years old. I had teachers as parents, and I was very fortunate that they realized many years ago that computers might be a thing. I started off by playing games and then working out how to make sprites move. Carried on, did a comp sci degree, graduated, worked in a city, and I've gradually worked my way up. And I'm still very technical. And the reason I tell you all of this is that I think it's really important that you all realize that there's a long and very enjoyable career to be had in software engineering, in all aspects of software engineering. Because it's not just about writing code on the keyboard. There are many other disciplines, from product ownership through design, testing, all sorts. And it really has been, for me personally, it's been absolutely fabulous. I've worked across lots of different industries before joining NewDay. And full disclosure, I'm very new. I've only been here for 3 months. Before joining NewDay, I was at a company called Trainline, where I led a team of around about 450. And we grew the business over Europe and IPO'd, and that was a super interesting experience. As Harriet said, as I chat, ask me questions. I probably won't read the chat, by the way, but just speak up, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have at all. So NewDay is a very interesting business because, much like the company that I left previously, it's a very mature business. It's a business that's been running for around about 20 years. It's grown very, very organically. And up until 3 or 4 years ago, it outsourced all of its software engineering capability. The business then realized that actually the technology products that it was building were a great asset. And ultimately, there was an opportunity to transition the business into being a technology business. And that's the journey we're on. And that's really what I'm about. That's what I've done in my recent career, is helped organizations that are doing very, very well in their particular niche, be that selling train tickets or credit cards, and helped them become a technology business. And we'll talk a little bit more about what that means later on. But I wanted to give you a sense of NewDay. What's the business like? It's a big business. It's 20 years old. We have about 5 million customers, over 18 brands. So that's a compelling volume. We process just under £6 billion worth of purchases per year. We're currently growing very aggressively. So during the pandemic, lots of businesses have suffered, which is obviously tragic. But NewDay has maintained a very stable state throughout the pandemic. Ultimately, people spend a little bit less, we've learned, but spending still continues. We're still signing up about 1.2 million new customers per annum. We're heavily focused on mobile. Mobile first is really a given in our industry these days. It's a bit like me saying, hey, we're agile. It's not really a thing that is a differentiator anymore. We're absolutely committed to continuing our mobile growth. We have a 4.7 rating on the App Store, which we're very proud of, and about 3 million mobile app downloads. So I hope those numbers give you a sense of the scale of NewDay as an organization. And actually, on a personal level, it's a very similar sized organization to the organization I left. The first developer joined NewDay 3.5 years ago. So not very long. So you get the chance to join an organization that is fairly fresh. Everything's changing. We're really driving transformation. Transformation's a real a real topical buzzword. You'll read a lot about it in a tech press. But really what it means is taking an organization, obviously, from one state to another. And typically that means taking an organization that's fairly mature and is doing very well at, let's stick with train tickets, selling train tickets and helping that organization become a technology-led organization. So since that first developer joined NewDay in 2017, we've grown and we've moved our focus internally. So we now have about 122 people in our digital team, in our software development team. We have a large proportion of those are perms, but I believe in a healthy mix of permanent staff, which we have about 74. We have a number of contractors, a healthy blend of contractors. And I really like to bring contractors into a business because they tend to bring in significant niche expertise. And if you bring in the right people, they're really passionate about sharing that knowledge amongst the other members of the team, maybe the permanent members of the team. And then they tend to stick around for a relatively short period, maybe a year or two, and then move on somewhere else. And we can bring somebody else in to freshen things up. And we also work with a number of third parties. So these are organizations that augment our teams with expert software engineers. So we've got people based largely in the UK. Our base is in the UK, and we're split between Leeds and London. We have a fabulous office in central London, just up behind King's Cross for those that are local, next to St Martin's College. So it's a really, really lovely location, really central, tons going on, lots of nice lunch spots. We also have folk in Portugal and Poland, and we're growing. Our aspirations are not only to transition into becoming a technology business, but really to become an international, a global force. And our plan to do that is to deliver a true technology platform. And that's a very, very exciting prospect. So you'd be joining a business which is really in the ascent. In terms of how we do what we do and the tools that we use, I mentioned agile, so we're agile. We're agile about everything that we do, and by agile I mean that we work in sprints, i.e. bursts of effort every 2 weeks. We work against prioritized backlogs. We have folk who are dedicated to spending their time on articulating the information in those backlogs and on prioritizing them and working with the business to prioritize those needs. Those needs are then fed as tickets in a backlog into the engineering teams. The engineering teams then work on the tickets. We're really committed to longevity in the teams. And I've also already shared with you that I'm a software engineer. So I think almost all the other people on the call are software engineers. I'm really passionate about helping software engineers grow and become, should they choose to become leaders, they can become leaders. If not, they can become senior technical folk. And we spread ourselves across a number of different disciplines. On the back end, we're C#, which is my personal happy place. I grew up as a Microsoft engineer, amongst other things, but C# is where I cut most of my code. And the rest of our estate is a split between web and mobile. Mobile has grown significantly. Some of you will get to speak to Olivier later on. Olivier's waving. Hi, Olivier. Olivier is very passionate, very experienced mobile lead, so you can certainly learn a lot from him if you're interested in the iOS or Android space. And also web. Web is a really challenging space actually to build at scale, and presents a set of unique challenges. And I know you'll be able to talk to some of the other folks about those specific challenges later on. And how do we go about building using these tools? What do we believe? Well, I've learned the hard way that the best way to get our software engineers working at pace at scale is to give them autonomy. By autonomy, I mean that if you join NewDay, nobody's going to be telling you how to do your job. you're going to be given the opportunity to learn and thrive and solve complex problems yourself, working with the support of your teammates. You'll be doing lots of pairing, lots of coaching. Your code will be reviewed by somebody, really with a view to helping you improve it. We really believe in the spirit of constant improvement. I believe deeply in test-driven development, the principle that we test everything and we test first. And that drives out great practice and then also enables us to release quickly and constantly. So we're constantly pushing out lots of small changes into our customers' hands. And this is a growth trajectory for NewDay. So as I said, the first software engineer arrived on site 3.5 years ago, so not very long. And our processes, our models are maturing. If I think about where we were at Trainline, we were releasing literally tens of thousands of times a week. We were releasing so much that it became something that we stopped thinking about. We are constantly pushing value out to our customers. And then lots of really interesting things start to happen because you can track the impact of a very small change, maybe on your on the funnel, the conversion funnel going from your landing page to your checkout page. You could say, hey, if we make a small change to the checkout page and we push that to live, we might A/B test it or canary release it and split that release between different groups. We can do some super interesting analysis on that stuff. And as we grow at NewDay, these are the kind of techniques that will become more and more important to us. To tell you a little bit more about the technology, because I'm sure you're as interested in that stuff as I am. On the web, we're moving steadily away from Angular to React. React is, some of you probably know, is very powerful indeed. And that's the technology that we leveraged at Trainline and allowed us to scale very quickly and very effectively. On mobile, we are Swift. On iOS, Kotlin. We are on the back end, as I said, we are largely C#. We have a polyglot principle of using the right tools for the job, but within certain constraints. I don't see a place where we would have 20, 30 different stacks in play, but we'll certainly look at using new tools if they present a compelling advantage to us, and that advantage might be an advantage of speed to market. It might be about scalability. It might be about how it interacts with our existing code bases, etc. Our model, as I said, is very, very agile. It's all about building empowered teams who have complete ownership end to end of what they build. And that gives you, as a software engineer, a very close relationship with the product. And that creates a sense of responsibility and drives a sense of autonomy, which is really powerful. And should you join NewDay as a junior engineer, you'd find yourself surrounded by lots of very, very experienced folk who are really passionate about helping you, as am I. So I was in your seat many years ago, joined a business as a junior engineer, and I was very lucky that I had a fabulous boss who really took care of me, really took interest in my personal development, and he put me in a team that was really open, really shared, really let me solve some complex things myself and learn the hard way. And then I was supported in my growth. So after a couple of years, I was given two engineers to work for me. So I cut my teeth on leadership, learned the ropes, made some mistakes, learned some stuff the hard way, and then continued to grow from there. So I'm not going to talk for very much longer. I'd love you to ask me some questions. Please don't be shy. Please ask away. And I will leave you to the experts you see on your screen to dive into all of the interesting details about the individual products, the teams, and the technologies that we use. So questions, please.
Thanks, Jonathan. If anyone does want to ask a question, let me just remove the spotlight. Do feel free to just unmute yourself and ask away, or if not, please utilise the chat box. Thanks.
Yeah.
So, right, I've got a question. you've got multiple teams that you said you have. So you have one product backlog, and then that feeds into multiple teams, does it?
No, it could do, Toby. Typically, we have one backlog per team.
Right.
Although what tends to happen is as an organization grows, the team gets too big to work against one backlog. So we work out together how to solve that. It might be that we break the backlog down into 3 real backlogs. It might be that we break it down into 3 kind of virtual backlogs, right, where the tickets are all in one pot, if you like, but they're separated out across the teams. And it would probably be that we break the team down into smaller units. Teams, the optimal size for a team, in my experience, is somewhere around about 6 or 8 people. Once we get to kind of 10, 20, 30 people, it gets too big. Running a stand-up takes too long. But when a team is just 2 people, also you don't get those benefits of scale and different layers of expertise and different experiences.
So how do you cope with the interdependencies that maybe one team needs, a feature, for instance, delivered by another team? How do you cope with that?
Really, really good question, and a very topical question. Often I cope very badly with it, Toby. But yeah, I've learned the hard way. It's a very hard problem to solve in Agile. But the essence of the solution is to have people work together, to talk to each other, right? So let's keep it really simple. Imagine that we have an iOS team and we have a platform team, and the iOS team are building out a new feature and they need some new components added on the back end, right? We would create a virtual unit from members of those teams who would talk to each other. They'd run daily stand-ups and they'd communicate and they'd have some kind of shared backlog. But there are other ways of solving it. One of the things we're working on right now is we're looking at the concepts of backends for front ends. So in the concept, with the concept that you've got an iOS team and you've got a backend team, we give the iOS team their own set of interfaces in their own happy language that they can then iterate on without having that dependency on the backend team.
Oh, okay. Have you considered using Safe, for instance, to do that?
Safe makes me a little bit nervous, but
yeah, because of the waterfall kind of aspect.
Yeah, but I think it has its place. And look, waterfall has its place, right? Probably not in this organization, but there are some places that you can't iterate towards a solution. The example always cited is brain surgery, right? You've got to get it right. But Safe has its place for sure as a wrapper around a large agile organization. Unfortunately, I've seen Safe fail very, very badly and just create this kind of huge onerous layer of bureaucracy around everything we do, which kind of takes away all the benefits of agile. So I'm a bit skeptical about it, but for sure we can look at that.
Okay, thanks.
Hi, sorry, Toby. I also have a question. Looking at the way you said the teams do communicate with each other, I want to ask if someone is working on the back end and feels like he could learn a bit from the front end people. Yeah. Is someone allowed to go through like a process of learning through some mentoring position? Yeah.
So we actually have mechanisms in place to support that. So we have personal learning and development. We also run hackathons. We also run innovation days, and we encourage our teams to share and learn from each other. And I think our innovation processes are one of the most powerful ways of doing that. So we have time dedicated each week to allow the teams to innovate. And during that time, it's a perfect environment for you to say, hey, I'm going to go and work on some Swift, or I'm going to learn some React or whatever.
Okay, yeah, then another question. In your mobile teams, do you guys have separate iOS engineers and Android engineers, or are you looking to move into the new part where there's like a native developer for both, like using React Native or Flutter?
Well, no, we have native. In fact, I'll leave Olivier to answer this in detail, but we have dedicated native app engineers for both platforms. Olivier, do you want to say anything else about it?
Yeah, maybe Michael, if you want to join the mobile chat, we can talk. I'm going to talk about that. Yes. And,
but funny enough, I'm not in the mobile chat room. I'm in the front end. I had a hard time choosing. Yeah.
We record for you. Yes, but
Okay.
yes, that's correct. We got iOS and Android.
Aria said she's going to record the session, so I'll be happy to look through it.
Great. I can see some good questions. Oh, thanks, Michael. I can see some questions on the chat.
Jonathan, there's been some directed straight to me, so I just want to make sure those are answered as well. I've got one here that is, how is productivity measured within the team? And then the rest of the questions are open to view by everyone, so fire away.
Well, we believe ultimately in the team evaluating their own productivity and their own effectiveness. So we're all about self-managing teams. So we've got processes in place, and some of them are a little bit immature, but we're working to improve them, where through retros, through self-evaluation, the teams can focus on their own effectiveness and work out where to focus efforts to improve. But also through the agile estimation process, that really helps to drive out the right level of productivity. You've heard about mechanisms like planning poker, for example. If you've not, Google it and have a read, but it's a great little mechanism to ensure that actually we're all calibrated across the team as to how our efforts will play out. I can see DevOps written on the right, and I just wanted to touch on DevOps because it's something that's very, very topical, and I'm a great believer in shifting DevOps to the left. Shift left is a really powerful term, because ultimately what it means is that the engineers take responsibility for all of these things. Another thing that I'm really passionate about shifting left is quality. So I started my career a long time ago in an environment as a software engineer, where I had next to me a room of BAs, and on the other side I had a room of QAs. And I used to get these big thick briefs from the BAs and code the stuff up and then pass it over to the QAs who test it and give it back to me. And it didn't work very well, as history has shown. But actually, as we've moved through and transformed our industry over the last 20 years, what we've learned is that if we give the software engineers the responsibility for writing tests, magic starts to happen, because test coverage starts to grow. They take responsibility for quality and building quality product, and they start to develop that ownership of code all the way through into production. And the same applies for DevOps. So we layer DevOps over the top of that, and we give the software engineers we empower the software engineers to own their own release train, their own release pipeline into prod. And that goes hand in hand with everything I said about testing. So then we've got full automation all the way through this pipeline, all the way into production. So I'm a real great believer in DevOps and quality as coaches. So we have DevOps folk, and my vision is for the DevOps folk to help the engineers get awesome at DevOps.
So do you tend to use Docker containers, or do you use cloud native?
We're cloud native, so we're Azure native, although we're experimenting with lots of different technologies right now, Toby. But we use lots and lots of Azure native, yeah.
So Amazon hasn't decided to entice you over to the AWS serverless side of things?
I think we're too deep in with Microsoft right now. So I've just left an AWS house at Trainline. Right. And I think we could talk forever about this, but ultimately, as a C# engineer, Azure is very, very appealing. Sure. So you get a lot of bang for your buck, and the integration is very, very tight. Yeah. So I'm very happy actually to be in an Azure house right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of companies out there that are concerned about cloud lock-in and so on, but what do you feel about that?
I get more value from being locked in than I do from being.
I know, exactly. That's my feeling as well. Yeah.
So and we could be cloud agnostic and go completely down the container route, but are you ever really cloud agnostic? Probably not. And to my original point, the value we get from Azure and the value we got at Trainline from AWS was just phenomenal.
Yeah. Okay.